All right, hello everyone, it's mysticjuicer, back some more Codex action. This is game 2 of myself versus Dan. This time, again, white versus red. This time Dan is going to be player 1. He's going to have an opportunity to be the aggressor. And I'm going to have to modify my strategy to take into consideration that fact. So, first turn, immediate Rambaster. For 3 damage to my base. And Madman for an additional additional 1 damage. So has already brought me down to 16 hit points on base and builds a worker. No heroes played. Discards 2 cards to draw 4. Yeah, that's pretty scary. So again, definitely going to be pursuing a strength strategy here. They've got, again, same logic applies. They've got a lot of beefy units, and most importantly, they've got Morningstar Pass, which is going to do a tremendous amount of work for me in terms of preventing lethal scenarios. If anything, if it gets me even 1 additional turn, it will absolutely have been worth it. So opening for me is definitely going to be Rook. Best defensive hero, I think, in the game, bar none. Definitely the best defensive hero for white. And then Fox Viper, which is kind of an awkward... Just kind of an awkward thing to play. It's very good aggressively. It's actually a pretty good... player 1 card. It's a 2/1 for 2 with Spark Shot. So it can have up to 3 damage in terms of total damage output, which is very, very good. It's not great on the defensive, which is why I'm setting it behind my patrol zone. I'm actually not patrolling with it at all. What I could have done is patrol Rook, or put Rook behind the patrol line and put the Viper in front and put it in squad lead. His makeshift Rambaster is a 1/2 unless it's attacking a building, and Madman is a 1/1. So he would have had to attack with both of those, trade them in against my Viper, and I would have Rook, safe with no damage taken. But I think overall it's actually more effective to take some damage on Rook if he's willing to put it on there. It would only be 1 because of the squad lead position. And then again, I'm able to keep Fox Viper in the back, and on my next turn deal some actual damage and use that 2 damage and potentially Spark Shot more effectively. So there's the logic there. He also doesn't really have in his starter a way to get rid of Fox Viper. As we already talked about, Scorch only works on patrollers. So he would not be able to play that to get past Rook, so to speak. And that's also pretty expensive. So even if he could, it probably wouldn't be all that good for him to trade, 3 gold for something a unit that costs 2. So he does put Jaina out into play. Unfortunately, I missed what I teched. It's very like... Oh, actually, if I can try to remember, I think it's Sparring Partner and the Tech 1 Ninja could also be quite good. Yeah, Inverse Power Ninja. Inverse Power Ninja is a card that I haven't really used in a lot of different setups. There's usually stuff I want to use more, but I feel like against red specifically, where the thing I'm very worried about is my board being cleared and him being able to then transition that into more aggression, especially as player 1 as red. Having Inverse Power Ninja out, if my board is cleared, it's a 6/6. If I patrol it alone, it's a 6/7. And it costs 3. So even if I put a hero into play, if I put Grave, for instance, into play, and the Inverse Power Ninja, it's still a 5/6 in the patrol slot, which is a monster to deal with. So he does not get aggressive, which is actually, I feel that's a good play on his part. He does put a hero into play, and he plays Blood Rage Ogre. Again, first turn you put Rage Ogre into play, it's one of the best, most aggressive blockers, or patrollers, I should say. If that's kind of an odd way of putting it, but you know, three attack is a lot of attack, especially for in the red starter. And the 2 hit points is somewhat mitigated by the fact that you can put it in taunt. So being able to, like, right now I'm in a kind of a tough position. I can't effectively deal with the ogre unless I play something like Sensei's Advice to boost my Fox Viper and then attack with Rook to clear Madman, which isn't, you know, particularly great. I could also use okay, I do have Grappling Hook, so I could use Grappling Hook. I could use Grappling Hook to move the Blood Rage Ogre into probably the elite slot, and then kill it with the Viper. Or I could put it in Lookout, actually. Yeah, that's actually a way better play. So I've worked something. I should be using Grappling Hook to move the Blood Rage Ogre to the Lookout spot. That's going to allow my Fox Viper to kill 2 of his units. I can attack into the Ogre, killing it, and then I can also use the Spark Shot to kill the Madman, which lets me clear his patrol. What? Okay, yeah, there's a way better way of doing that. I'm really sad I didn't catch that. Well, the pressure of the situation. Yeah, I'm having to spend... See, now I have to spend, you know, actual money, and I also have to spend more than 1 card. So there was a far better way of doing that. Although, on the other hand, this does deny him the card draw off of the Madman in the Technician position. So maybe that's a little bit better. I do have a very expensive hero that I can spend gold on to level instead of playing cards out of my hand. So that's a way of allowing my hand to recover from the you know, the reduction in its total size. So if I only build a worker next turn and spend money on Rook, then I can recover up to my 5 card hand size, my max hand size. I'm contemplating playing another card, but I don't think I really need to. I either need to kill the Rambaster or just patrol Rook in the squad lead position. Yeah, so and the other approach I can also take is to build an add-on. I can either go for Tower if I want to play, if I'm worried defensively, but I think I end up being greedy and going for the Hero's Hall. So again, not only now do I have the option of spending my money on non-card things by leveling Rook, but I can also put another hero into play, which is also not going to cost me a card and give me that opportunity to recover. So I'm discarding 2 cards, drawing 4, and then I'm going to have an opportunity to spend my money elsewhere in a card-free way to let my hand recover. He's also in a bit of a spot. My Rook is a 2/5 on the defensive. So even if he attacks with Rambaster and Jaina, that's not an effective attack for him. It's only going to deal 2 total damage. Okay, he does end up using... Oh, no. Yeah, I think he was looking for... I think that's Fire Arrow. Or Fire Dart. Yes, okay. Fire Dart. So 3 damage to a unit, or 2 damage to a building. Rook is neither of those 2 things, so he's unable to do that. Well, thank goodness for me. I think so what other fire spells would he have had to spend? Okay, uses Pillage instead to take my last saved money and deal damage to a building. That is not how Pillage works. just for those people who are watching, quick reminder: this only deals damage to a base, not a building of your choice. Still, it is spending a card to deny me a gold. That's probably okay. I'm going to have 7 money on my next turn, so that's still considerable, but having 1 less cash to spend is not bad. Definitely not bad. So again, he can't be aggressive here. He just doesn't have the damage on board to be able to get aggressive against Rook. So again, immediately going for Morningstar Sanctuary, and I'm actually getting a doubling Bar Barbarian just for reasons of stats. So if I do lose a lot of my heroes and stuff, the way that he works is he is going to be a 3/5 with overpower. So assuming he survives, he's going to be a monster on offense. And he's very survivable. Again, he's a 3/5 just on his own, and if you patrol him in the squad lead, he gets twice as much armor, so he becomes a 3/7. So effectively as many hit points as Max Band Rook, if you don't count the fact that Max Band Rook survives, obviously, and sticks around. Yeah, very, very effective unit, I feel like, as player 2, because it has both of the things you want. One, it's going to outvalue any attacks. It's going to discourage any attacks. And the way you kind of defend effective patrolling, or the way you defeat effective patrolling, is often that you don't attack. You deal with your opponent's attackers by putting chumps in the way, and then you put your mass in, you spend money on increasing your economy, right? You have a very thin defense, and you go to tech 2, you go to tech 3, you spend money on either a surplus, for instance, a very expensive add-on that's going to give you incredible ability to spend more cards onto the board more effectively than your opponent. And sorry, so to wrap up that thought, doubling Bar Barbarian defeats that second option as well, because he has overpower. 3 attack with overpower isn't a massive amount, but if I have Sensei's Advice, which is in my hand, that's going to give 2 armor and 2 attack to the doubling Bar Barbarian. So he becomes a 5/7 with overpower on attack. That is massively good. Massively, massively good. Okay, so no cards played by Dan. He is just... Yeah, I think I must have missed something. It could be that he's just spending the turn to recover. So just building a worker and then essentially passing. And he's essentially doing that same thing that I recommended. Putting the Rambaster, which is not particular, or makeshift Rambaster, which is not particularly effective on attack now that I have Rook out as a defender in the squad lead position. I think it's actually probably better. Well, no, he wants to protect his hero. So I think if Dan had a bit more experience playing against White, because I don't have... Oh no, I do have the ability to put another hero into play. Never mind. So this is actually pretty effective if I had teched Surprise Attack or Speed of the Fox. Can't remember which one it is. Yeah, Speed of the Fox. If I had teched this, this play... Well, it just prevents... Yeah, I mean, either way I would be able to get to his back line. Or no, the Rambaster is a 1/2, so I'd have to level Rook. So yeah, no, this is pretty effective at protecting Jaina. The other option would have been, the thing that I was thinking he could have done, is patrol the Rambaster in a more useful position like Scavenger or Technician, so getting either money or a card, and then simply putting Jaina, in your backfield, because White has very little access to haste, especially outside of ninjutsu as a spec. And since I've gone strength, I don't have that option, and I just went strength this last turn. So really, the only option I had for hasted damage would be Setsuki with Speed of the Fox. So I also pass. I don't gain much, if anything, from attacking into the Rambaster. I lose my best patroller, which is Rook. I do end up putting out Fuzzcuddles and putting him in the resist slot, just so that if he does target Fuzzcuddles down with direct damage, which is the only way he's going to get past Rook to do it, he's going to have to spend at least additional money. And direct damage spells are quite expensive. Even Scorch becomes a 4-cost spell. It's not particularly good. Okay, so again, teching, now that I have my Morningstar Sanctuary teched and the Doubling Bar Barbarian, I'm going for Colossus, I'm going for White Star Grappler. Same logic as before. They're very good stats-wise, they're very good defensively, and then if they survive a turn, the Colossus, again, puts him on a pretty intense clock. If I can find the means to block up behind it and just swing with him every turn. Yeah, that's the logic there. I think strength is quite effective. At least the way that Dan is playing, it's quite effective in this match. And I think as player 2, it's quite good as well. The reason I don't go for something like, well, I mean, yeah, the entire reason I'm going strength is just to prevent a situation where, right now, off of turn 1, I was at 16 hit points off my base. I do not want to make it. I want to make it as hard as possible to prevent or to go for a lethal on my base. And I have played Dan before, as with him playing with fire, and fire in the late game can just mow down what you have. Stuff like Ember Sparks deals 3 damage and it can target buildings, so that's just 3 money to deal 3 damage to my base. Fire Dart is 2 for 3 damage to a unit or 2 damage to a building. So that's, again, 2 money for 2 damage to base. Flame Arrow, I think, is the most effective. Yeah, 4 for 3 damage to a unit or a hero, or 3 damage to a building. Like, just brutal. Like, so if you have 2 of those in hand, that's 6 damage to base, and that can very quickly close out the game. So that's what I want to avoid, definitely, for absolute sure. So I missed a whole bunch of stuff while I was chatting about that, but I believe he cleared Foxcuddles using Jaina's ability and some sort of fire spell, I'm sure. That is all fine. Unfortunately, it leaves me in a position where I can't really be aggressive again, so I'm just pursuing my basic strategy. Tech up as quickly as possible, as consistently as possible, keep Rook alive, put other stuff down. The fact that he has spent so many cards and so much money on direct damage stuff, which is good. It gets around Rook, but it does it in such a way that he does it in such a way that it's essentially like playing a hasted unit with stealth that doesn't survive the attack, right? So if you play another unit, even though it has to interact with the patrol zone, if you attack in such a way that it doesn't die, then it sticks around. It at least deals its damage twice, right? It's going to deal its damage once on attack, and then it's going to be able to deal its damage again to whatever your opponent has to attack it with to kill it. So that, if he doesn't, then you get to attack with it again, and you at least get double value out of it. So I have Morningstar Flagbearer, I have Inverse Power Ninja, and I have a Savior Monk. And I think I'm deciding between either the Savior Monk or the Inverse Power Ninja. Savior Monk gets my Rook a little bit more value, but again, Savior Monk is only a 2/2. It is going to allow me to heal a bunch, which is good. But it's a little bit too easy to deal with. I think what I'll probably end up going for... Okay, so I end up mid-banding Rook and killing Jaina. Yeah, and that's going to give me another 2 levels, put me to level 7, 1 more money, max bans Rook. dealing all of that damage. And then I have 2 money left, so it's a decision. It's a decision between a hero or the Savior Monk. And Grave is just much more aggressive, much more of a threat than the Savior Monk is. And essentially, this game now looks like as if I had gone first, I feel like. I have the board presence. He has relatively little on defense. I'm the aggressor, and it's up to him to turn things around and deal with what I have on board. So I've completed stage 1 of winning this game. Stage 1 is pretend like you're player 1. Get to a position where you are the aggressor. And now when I play, my Tech 2 units, they are going to be monsters. They're going to very likely survive and be scary and get to do things to his board. Unless he plays something like the Steam Tank. So again, this is my lack of knowledge of playing against red. Steam Tank, I did not know that red had things with hit points. This is kind of scary. It is a 3/6 and it gets +4 attack when attacking buildings. So it basically one-shots any tech building, any add-on, and it deals 7 damage to base. And it is a fantastic blocker. So yeah, good stuff on Dan for teching that, because he definitely needed exactly something like that. Okay, so as a response, what I'm going to be teching is Entangling Vines. That's going to allow me to deal with, very effective patrollers, just like the Steam Tank, as it will disable a patroller. Sorry, it sidelines the unit, so it removes it from the patrol slot, and then it just can't attack or patrol. So you can't do anything except use its abilities. It thin decks, so I mean, unless I kill that unit or he sacrifices it somehow, that card, as soon as I play it, is essentially like it's no longer in my deck, which is, got its pros and cons, but it's largely pro for me, right? It's going to increase the likelihood that I'm going to draw something more effective. And I really only need it to deal with 1 patroller. The other thing I went for is I got my Tech 3 into the discard, so I should be looking to get Tech 3 online. If I ever get my Tech 3 into play, so long as I prevent him... Actually, no, that's not exactly accurate. I was going to say, if I can get my Tech 3 into play, it's basically game over. That is not the case. Dan has just gone for Anarchy as his Tech 2, and yeah, he's putting 2 pirate gunships into play. I don't have any flyers. And I really don't have anything to deal with a flying hasted long-range resist 7/6 with Obliterate 2. So my goal has now drastically shifted. I cannot allow him to get to Tech 3. So I either need to consistently destroy his Tech 3 once it comes up, or much better for me would be to destroy his Tech 2 forever. Just continuously destroy Tech 2, or do it as so often enough that his window for playing Tech 3, he first has to build Tech 3, and then I have another opportunity of destroying Tech 3 and trying to keep him off of Tech 3 for as long as possible. I cannot allow Pirate Gunship to hit the board. If it does, I lose. There are very few things I have that will allow me to come back from that. Yeah, 7/6 long range. So it's got flying, so it doesn't take damage from grounded units anyway. And it's got long range, so even if it had a flying unit, so long as it's attacking, it doesn't take any damage back unless the defending unit with flying also has long range, which I think only Pirate Gunship has. Yeah, so definitely not something I can afford to let hit the board. I do have an opportunity, if Grave survives, to use Grave's Max Band to kill one, but how likely is it that a Pirate Gunship is going to hit the board and then not immediately kill Grave? Very unlikely. You do not want to be pursuing a strategy that counts on your opponent making an incredibly bad mistake. So we're going to try not to fall back on that as an option. So here we go, doubling Barbarian. Not as effective as it was just a little while, just before the steam tank hit the board. But, I mean, it's still a 3/5 with overpower. So that's not too bad. I do have Snapback, but Snapbacking Zane, you know, if he's on the back line, isn't particularly impressive or useful. But Zane does give him a way of dealing with the Barbarian, or the Barbarian, I should say. If I patrol him in squad lead, which I am definitely going to do, he can max ban Zane, and Zane's max ban is going to allow him to shove a patroller to an empty slot in the patrol zone and then deal a damage to it. So he uses Zane, max bans him, moves the doubling Barbarian into the lookout slot, deals him 1 damage. The Barbarian is now a 3/4. He can even attack with Zane, immediately killing the Barbarian and clearing my patrol zone. And that is very likely what he's going to do. Now the thing, and he can deal 7 damage with the steam tank. And he's got a couple of options here. He can kill either Setsuki or Grave, just immediately, flat out kill them. Or he can take care of my Tech 2. But so let's talk downsides of each of these options as I go through them. So he can kill Grave or Setsuki. Great. He kills a hero. He has Tech 2 out, so he's able to play a hero and level him twice. Yeah, I'm immediately getting max or ultimate spells for Rook and for Setsuki. So I'm hoping Setsuki survives. The downside is, second steam tank into play, so pressure is even greater. But the downside for that is my Tech 2 remains up, so I could put something scary from Tech 2 into play. Specifically, the thing that's in my hand, which is Morningstar Pass. That's going to give me much more longevity than he probably wants to give me. So that's the downside there. If he kills Tech 2, that's fine. But he leaves all 3 of my heroes in play, and Grave effectively kills 1 steam tank just on his own, on his max band. And then Rook and Grave together can attack into the other steam tank, killing it. So that's not a great option either. Or he can just go for base. He can deal 7 damage to my base, putting me very close to death. The downside of that, of course, is he may be thinking, okay, I can do that, and then I've got enough fire spells with Jaina to just shoot down your base and clear you. But the consequence there is he probably doesn't know about the fact that I have Morningstar Sanctuary. I did tech it last game, but because I got so aggressive, I never had an opportunity. Was never in a position where I actually needed to play that in any way. So, so he's likely to make his decision without knowing that I have that as a essentially as a means of healing or preventing damage to my base. So the next time we play, it's going to be a far scarier Dan than I am facing. And it's already pretty damn scary. Yeah, so well, I think he is going to go for base. Yeah. So that is 7 damage. I am now at 9 health on my base. So I need to put the Morningstar Pass into play on my turn. That is a non-negotiable play. Absolutely necessary. I also need to deal with these steam tanks. I need to deal with these goddamn steam tanks. So money is likely to be very tight on this next turn for me. Clearing the steam tank in the patrol zone. So Steam Tank on patrol is a 3/7. Yeah. So I need to, in order for Grave to survive, I need to max band him before attacking. And then I need to attack with both Grave and Rook to kill the first Steam Tank, then use the rune to kill the other Steam Tank, and then to clear Zane, I also want to mid-band Setsuki. Yeah, so this is a foolish play that I'm like. So I mid-band Sets and then I kill Zane, is I think the logic I was going for. And he's like, you have to actually deal with my Steam Tank. And I'm like, excellent point. I'm going to immediately take back that terrible decision I made. Let me just show off Setsuki here. Setsuki is a monster on attack. Her mid-band gives her a swift strike on the turn that she attacks, which is incredible, especially for flattening heroes. And her max band also, is amazing. Draw 2 cards on your upkeep is incredibly valuable, incredibly good. You can use it in a ton of different ways. You can just dig for the answer you need on your next turn. Yeah, so a bit of a mistake, I feel like, on my part there. I could have more effectively cleared his board and set up a far better play. But this is going to turn out to be okay. So long as I'm patrolling with Rook and squad lead, he can't really get rid of him. And he can't get through with the Steam Tank. I still definitely have to put Morningstar Pass into play. Yeah, there we go. And this is going to cause Dan's head to swivel 720 degrees and for him to shake his fist at Cloud. That's what we do as White. White just has so many awesome tools. I love this faction so much. So flexible. Just love it. And yeah, they have some of the most unfair heroes in the entire game, so I can't complain about that either. Okay, so patrolling Rook in the elite position. Why that in particular? It deals more damage to the Steam Tank. If he attacks into it, that's 5 damage, which means that Setsuki can just clear if he doesn't protect it. That's fine. I don't know if that's more valuable than just putting Rook in squad lead and preventing as much damage to him as possible, especially if he has, direct damage or something. It's debatable. I mean, I guess Rook in that position still has 12 hit points, so he's a 5/12, right? So that's not terrible. But definitely could have played that last turn much better. So again, the play there was attack into the Steam Tank in squad lead with Rook, dealing it 3 damage. Then max Grave, attack with him into the Steam Tank in squad lead, killing it, taking 3 damage on Grave. Because he has readiness, you're able to use the sword rune, kill the other Steam Tank, then use Setsuki to kill Zane, and then also put Morningstar Pass into play. I take in that position, I take much more damage on Rook and much more damage on Grave, but it leaves him with less options on the board. Yeah, and I have the same amount of attack on my next turn, right? Rook is effectively still at, has 2 lives, right, on my next turn, even though his first life would have taken, 3 points of damage. Grave is likewise a 4/2, but he's already done everything I really need him to. So if he happens to die on that turn, I'm not incredibly broken up about it. Okay, Dan is on pretty low hand, it seems like. He has gotten to Tech 3, which is scary, but again, if I can now deal with Tech 3 and deal with Tech 1, that means he has to rebuild Tech 2. So again, I'm still in that mode, in a safer mode where I'm dealing with his Tech 2 consistently, so that he can't get up to Tech 3 and play the pirate gunship. So we're still in a good spot. He plays Rickety Mine, which is fair. It's okay. He has a very effective blocker. This would be a far better play if he had something else to put behind it. Yeah, bringing Jaina onto the board is okay. He probably I think he has teched a couple of fire spells, so he definitely wants to start taking advantage of those. He's probably thinking, it's still the late game. So long as I can deal with this Morningstar Pass thing, I'm still in a position where my opponent's at 9. I have steam tanks in the mix. I have direct damage. That is not an insurmountable amount of stuff to get through. Okay, patrols very defensively, so choosing to put Jaina into the patrol zone is telling me that, yeah, he's definitely worried about losing the steam tank. And he's correct, right? I have enough damage on the board to deal with the steam tank in squad lead. Notably, though, I do not have enough damage on the board to get through both of his patrollers and deal with his Tech 3. So I'm going to rely on having drawn I basically have to have snapback. If I don't have snapback on this turn, then it's very likely that he's able to close out the game. Luckily, I believe I started the turn with 5 cards in hand, and Setsuki gets me 2 additional cards, so I have a very high likelihood of drawing it. Okay, there we go. Right. I had put Entangling Vines in into my discard, or had teched it, so effectively get rid of that. Now I have enough damage on the board to deal with at least Tech 3. I don't quite have enough to get rid of... if I can snap back Jaina, then I can get through and deal with Tech 2 and 3. But I guess I either don't have it or I choose not to play it. Yeah, that'll be 4 damage to his Tech 3. I have to leave him the Rickety Mine. I can't really deal with that. I have to get... oh, okay. Oh, yes, okay, that's right. Like, why am I attacking this way? So the only reason that would be is, yeah, I managed to draw into Fox's Den students. And that is basically going to be game. So I get to put 4 1/1 ninja tokens into play. They all have haste, they all have stealth. So I'm going to be able to snipe down every single one of his tech buildings. Yeah, it's really rude. And deal 1 damage to something, so likely his base. But yeah, that's going to be game. There is really no way he's going to be able to recover from that. So either of my ultimate spells, so either Earthquake or Fox's Den students would have done the same thing there. Luckily, I drew into one of them. Again, Snapback also would have allowed me to continue playing and locking down or locking away Tech 3. But this is basically just a win. I don't think he can recover from this. I keep all of my ninja tokens as well, as he does not have a tower in play. And that is just... So basically, next turn, I have 4 additional damage that I can spend. And especially, it's 4 damage that I can break up any way I choose. So it's not like a 4/4 where I would have to, if he if he chump blocks or whatever, or if I just, you know, like this way I can just snipe down exactly what I need and trade out those token units, which aren't really valuable on their own, in really efficient ways. That is going to be game. I believe he's going to choose to play this out, but I think he comes to the conclusion that's basically over. And also doubling Barbarian coming into play, so I have another means of really effectively and efficiently assigning damage on my next attack. Now he can put Zane into play, max band him, move the Barbarian into the Scavenger or Technician slot, and then kill him, but that's basically going to be it. So we're going to allow Dan to play out the game. He's just going to see. What he told me in person was, I think I've lost at this point, but rather than immediately give up, I'm going to play out the turn just to see what I can do. But he is restricted to Tech 0 units and playing either Drac or Zane. So very limited stuff that he can do. So it is going to be GG. I do take this second game as well. And then we weren't able to rematch for the third one, which I think would have been much closer because, yeah. So yeah, had the Pirate Gunship at hand, had direct damage in hand. Jaina is also dead. It's just not something he can recover from. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the game and the commentary. Let me know what you think. Codex is a pretty awesome game. So the links for how to purchase this game and where you can get it will be in the description of the video below. So if you're interested in that, check that out. And yeah, until next time, enjoy yourself some Codex. Cheers.